Hi, welcome to Tyne Valley Motorhomes. I'm Callum and this is the handover video of the Swift Kontiki 774. So starting off with the driver's side first. So just down here, located just beside the sticker here, this is your freshwater drain valve. So on the Swift models, this is a electronic controlled valve. So there's no tap on the outside of the vehicle. It's all done through your control panel, which I'll show you inside the vehicle. But this is fresh water, so what you would do with draining the fresh is when you've taken on a source of contaminated water, or you're not using the van for a period of time, or in the winter when you want to drain the vehicle down, and you definitely need to, because when we start to experience frost, you don't want the water to stay in the vehicle as it can freeze. So on the control panel there's a drain button. I'll show you when we're inside, and you can drain your fresh water off. Further back as well, you've got your waste water. So this is your water that you've used. This is grey, so you can tell the difference between blue and grey, fresh and waste. This is water you've used, anything that's gone down a plug hole. What you want to do is, on the way out of your site, pull over the disposal point for your dirty water and get rid of the water, so that you're not carrying it around, because it will just take up weight in the payload, meaning that you'll have less weight to put on board, and it'll use more fuel. So get rid of it when you're not using it. And to fill the fresh water though, using the little key, which is your habitation key, or one of them, it opens the water filler cap, and then you can take the blue cap off and get a hose pipe. So carry a hose pipe with some hose pipe fittings, flat end into the van, other end connect to the tap. You will need some fittings, as it's mainly just a brass tap provided by the site. Connect it to the site's tap, fill the van with water. You can look on board on the control panel how much water you have on board at any one time, or you can just simply wait until it overflows, which means the tank is full. However, if you can't get the hose to the vehicle, and you've got a bucket, an aqua roll, similar to a caravan, or a barrel of water, you've got a pump point here. So underneath this white cap is a 12-volt point, and it means that you can get a wheel pump that'll give it live and negative here, other end into here, and the pump into the water, and it will suck it up from the barrel into the main tank on board the vehicle. However, you do have to turn this function on, which is on the control panel, but I'll go through that when on board. LPG, so liquid petroleum gas, this is your gas locker. So I've got one bottle on board at the moment to show you appliances working on this model. The motorhome will always run off propane, as propane freezes. Propane doesn't freeze as much as butane freezes. Butane is known as summer gas and will freeze at 0 degrees. This will go up to -28 or something like that. So you want to be using propane, which is your red bottles. You can get 2 bottles on board this van, so you can get one at the back. Once you've put your bottle on, you want to put the strap to keep the bottle secure. So the little grey collar goes around the neck of the bottle, and then you would tighten here. To connect this orange pipe, which is known as the pigtail, it goes from the regulator to the bottle, left to tighten, right to loosen, opposite ways with it being gas. Then 1 or 2 turns of the bottle, little black stopper here, press that in. That's a crush valve, and you need to press that in for 10 seconds to allow the gas to go from the cylinder to the pigtail, otherwise you'll not get gas through the van. And then you just want to make sure that this yellow nib here on the crush valve of the regulator is always pushed in. If that's ever popped out, it just means the crush valve has gone off, and you need to push it in for 10 seconds to reset. And the green shows you that the gas is coming through. Red would mean that the gas is either turned off or empty. This is your external shower point, so it works great if you want to hose the dog off, the kids, the boots, the bikes. And there's a fitting in the van which clips to the vehicle, and on the other end of the hose you have a trigger gun. So as long as the pump's on, you'll get a pressurized flow of water, and it is only cold water from this outdoor shower. two fridge vents, and you do have the beauty of on the Kontiki a awning light just above the gas locker, so that's kind of handy if you need to change a bottle and it's a bit dark, or you're just parking the van up. You can see where the van is. Aldi flue. So this is the flue for your Aldi boiler system. So make sure it's never covered, make sure it's always obstruction free, and it will only allow the fumes out when operating on gas. On electric you'll not get much out of there, but on gas you just want to make sure that it can breathe and you can feel, if you put your hand next to it, we've got it on gas and electric at the moment, and it can feel that there is some exhaust fumes coming off that. To hook the vehicle up, whether you're charging it at home prior to your trip or to maintain the battery over the period of time you're not using the vehicle and winter, or if you're on site, it's the same way of connecting the van. So you'd always hook the vehicle up first, so lift the collar, hook the van up first, then you want to hook the site or home if you're charging it from the house. However, if you're charging it from the house, if you don't have a socket fitted like the sites do, you will just need an adapter to connect it to a 3-pin plug. Using your other habitation key, you can open this locker here, and this is known as your wet locker. So you can put a wet hookup lead in there, your water filling hose, your levelling ramps, everything that you don't want to put inside the vehicle in there, so nothing's going to get muddy or wet. And then that just locks with the Swift flip key. At the back you've got your slimline garage door with storage across the back. So it is heated via the Aldi heating system, so there's a radiator there. You've got a 12-volt light, all your carpets, your cushions, your infill cushions are in there, but you can access it from inside the van as well. And you do have two hanging coat rails there to hang your coats up in the garage. Across the back of the Kontiki you do have 4 parking sensors along with a reversing camera. So you've got 2 cameras there, so twin lens. One will be for when selecting reverse, you'll be able to see down the back of the vehicle when manoeuvring, and one will be for when driving. You'll have a permanent feed rear view camera on the back of the van. Little garage door there, again, light, storage space. This is another wet locker, so you've got 2, so you can keep your bits and pieces this side, maybe your barbecue, bits and pieces for that in here. Pushing the catches in, you've got some storage underneath your back lounge on this model. External gas point. So if you plan on using a Kadak or external barbecue when you're on site, instead of carrying a spare bottle, you can use the bottle that's already on board the vehicle, and you just connect to this. So you'll get a quick release connection which will connect to the bottom here. So it connects into here, but you want to put that on your orange rubber pipe first and secure with a Jubilee clip. Push it into here, connect the other end to the barbecue. Once you're happy, you can turn the tap on, it'll open the valve, and this will not open unless that is in properly, and it'll allow you to get a gas feed off the van. So you can do your outdoor cooking and then you can just disconnect once you're finished. Fuel Omnister awning, which we'll show you in a moment. Awning light, cassette loo, so this is your toilet. So your toilet will indicate when it is full. Make sure the blade's closed. If the blade is left open, you'll not be able to lift the orange handle here and pull the cassette out the van, because the blade has got a hold of the cassette and it will not let it come out, the mechanism of the toilet. But once it is shut, you'll be able to slide it out. You can either carry it, or if it's too heavy for you, it's got wheels so you can drag it. And you want to go to your disposal point, which is normally beside your toilet block on site. Remove the cap, pop that to the side for one moment. Start to pour. As you start to pour, press the orange button. Pressing the orange button will allow a bit of air in and stop it glugging. Give it a consistent flow. Once you've emptied it, there's normally a tap there, so put a bit of water in, put the cap back on, give it a shake, tip out again. Then if you are using the liquids, blue or green, depending on which the site prefer you to use for their septic tanks, a capful, which is 120 ml. Straight in the top there, or you can just pour some down there by eye and pop it back. Put the cap back on and pop it back in the vehicle. However, there is now tablets on the market. Tablets is like a small dishwasher tablet, but they're made by either Dometic or Thetford. What you can do with them is flush a pint of water down the toilet and you just drop it down the toilet and it'll break up into the liquid. So all you need to do is clean that out and pop that back in if you're using the tablets. However, if you're using the liquids, you do have to put it in from the cassette outside the vehicle. 230 volt socket, so if you're planning on wanting some power underneath your sun canopy, or if you're going to put a driveway on and you're on a site a little bit longer, you do have mains power there once hooked up. Onto the cab, so on the passenger door you do have your diesel filler, so it opens with the Fate key, so it's a lockable diesel cap, and then underneath AdBlue. So because it's a new style diesel engine, to combat emissions, it's fitted with AdBlue, and this is a 19 litre tank of AdBlue. It'll do 5,500 miles on a full 19 litres. However, once you've got 1,000 miles left of that 5,500, it will indicate on the dash that the AdBlue is low. Go and pull into a petrol station. In your bigger petrol stations that have got fuel pumps for wagons normally have AdBlue, and you can buy it on the pump and it's about £1.20 a litre. Whereas if you buy it in the drums, and you can buy it in the drums and keep one on board the back of the van if you want, but some places will charge you about £30 for 10 litres, which is obscene. So buy it on the pumps, it's slightly cheaper, and it, depending on how many miles you do a year, it might just be a job that you do once a year. But it will tell you, and you can view the levels on the dashboard. Tyre pressures on the passenger slam panel, so 5.5 bar, which is 79.5 psi. You've also got your weight of the vehicle here, so this is your Swift plate. So second stage conversion, you've got your chassis number on there, you do have your build number there as well, which is the top barcode. 4.5 tonne. If you were to put a tow bar on and tow with this, you can't, the van and what you're towing can't exceed 6 tonne, and you've got your front and back axle weights. Your toolkit can be found underneath your passenger seat, so this just pulls off, that unclips with that catch there, and this slides out, and you do have your engine battery underneath the floor. Bonnet releases on the side of the dash. Once the passenger doors open, you'll be able to get to that. And underneath the bonnet, you'll be able to find your screen wash, which is in the top corner of the driver's headlight. Release these 3 tabs and lift this off, and you've got your coolant and your brake fluid. Engine oil filler, paint code on this sticker. There is no dipstick for checking the levels, and there's no power steering fluid because this is a new Series 8 Ducato, so it's an electronic steering rack, and you can view your level of your oil through your dashboard, and the light will illuminate when it's low. An earth for giving or receiving a jump start, as the battery is underneath the cab floor, so you can still jump from underneath the bonnet. Weight plate, because it's on an Alco chassis, similar to the one on the door, but the Kontiki's on the Alco chassis. And beside the air filter, you've got this little box. Pop a key down the side or something flat, a screwdriver, and lift this up. This is where your positive terminal for giving or receiving a jump start can be found. So So now on board the vehicle, to operate the Swift control panel, your on-off switch is here, which is your master switch. So you just press that and you can turn it off, press it again and you can turn it back on. It then brings you into the main menu. So you can go to lights, entry light, you can select your dimmers, dimmer 1 and dimmer 2, and you can pop these on. And you can select your on and light. So just highlighting them means they're on. When they're blank, it means they're off. Power, so you can see that your leisure battery is charging at 13 volts and there's currently 2.2 of an amp coming in, and that's your load, and 0.3 from your solar, but ignore the solar because it does go to sleep when hooked up because it can't compete with mains 230 volt. And it also tells you your vehicle battery status of 12.8 volts, so it's good. You can change it over by selecting the one that's illuminated. So now that's charging the vehicle battery, and not the leisure. So if it was standing over the winter on the driveway, you might want to do a week on the leisure, a week on the vehicle, or 2 days, vice versa, just so both batteries are still taking a charge, so you don't get a flat battery. But you always want it onto the leisure when using it. Mains capacity, so you're getting 100% from the mains, and it's bringing 16 amp in. There's no, you can set a limit there of the load if you are abroad and you want a smaller CL site or an air to stop it blowing the van. You can put a limit on. Then you go to your water, so it's telling you your level of your fresh, so 75% of fresh water, 25% of waste. If you're away in the winter and it was potentially going to freeze overnight, when using the van you can put your tank heaters on, which heats the tanks to stop the water from freezing. When not using it, drain the vehicle down. Turning your pump on will give you a pressurised flow of water to the taps, toilet, shower and external shower. Without this being on, you will get no flow of water to the taps, but please make sure you've got water on board before turning the pump on, otherwise you will damage the pump. If you want to fill from the 12 volt pump point outside, if you can't get the hose to the van, you need to turn this one on, which is fill. You press drain for the fresh and drain for the waste to get rid of your water, and it will open your electronic control valves underneath the vehicle and get rid of the fresh or the waste water. But make sure you get rid of your waste before you leave your site, because you don't want to be carrying that round because it will use more fuel. And then you can control the fridge from the control panel as well. So you can turn your fridge off. When you've got it off with the fridge, leave the door open to allow ventilation to stop smells and mold from forming with the door closed, because it will get no ventilation in there. You can put on auto, and what auto does is it finds the best source available to the motorhome at any one time. So at present on auto, that'll be using mains 230 volt. If I was to unhook the van, it would switch over to gas because my gas bottle's on and it's turned on. Or if I was to start the engine of the vehicle, it will go on to 12 volt, and it'll do it all by itself. It'll detect which source is available. Note that the 12 volt isn't off the leisure battery, it's off the vehicle battery when the vehicle is switched on and running. So that will only work to maintain the temperature of the fridge when travelling from site to keep your shopping nice and fresh, or if you've pre-chilled it at home, put your shopping in the night before, and now you're driving to your first site, it will keep it nice and cool when travelling. Temperature, so you can go from 1 to 5. You might want to have it on 5 when pre-chilling on the driveway. Once it's down to temperature, you can turn it down and pop your shopping in so it doesn't freeze. And this tells you the temperature that the fridge is currently at. So it's at optimum temperature. So it'll say warm when you first start, and it will then get cooler. So that just lets you know what temperature the fridge is currently at, and that is your Dometic fridge. You go into your settings and you can turn your key beep on and off if it's annoying. You can pair your phones to it by Bluetooth, and you've got all your control panel details this side. To control your Aldi control panel, you press here to turn on. It will bring you to the main menu. So you can see there that it's 13 degrees inside the vehicle. It's hooked up because it's got the picture of the hookup. It tells you the time in the top right hand corner, and it's circulating on the indoor temperature at 13 degrees. If you press here first, you'll be able to adjust the temperature to suit. So you can set it to the maximum of 30 degrees. And the top temperature there at 13 is telling you that what it's currently at. So you just press the plus and the minus to get to the temperature that you want the inside of the van to be. The energy source, so you have electric on 1 kilowatt, which is 750 watts, 2 kilowatts, which is 1500 watts, or 3 kilowatts, which is 300 watts, and you can change, or 3000 watts even, you can change that by just moving it down the scale. And if you were wild camping, you would have the electric off and the gas on, and it's dead easy to put the gas on. You just need to flick the switch. But if you want to get your vehicle up to temperature quicker in the winter, I would suggest that you put the electric and gas on together for the first half an hour, 40 minutes, and then turn your gas off and allow the electric to continue to heat the van. But don't waste your gas when you've paid for your site fee, so just allow it to boost it and then turn it off and allow the electric to continue, because that's what you've paid for. Hot water, so if you've got no water in the boiler, you'd have it off. You can have it on and it will heat the vehicle and heat the water together. Or you can have it on boost, which is a 30-minute setting, and it will prioritise all the heat to the water by stopping the heating. You can set day and night mode. So day mode, you might want it to be 20 degrees inside the vehicle. Night mode, you might want it to be 15. It will ask you which temperature and it'll ask you how long you want it to run it for and which days. So you can set that so that it will automatically just drop down on a night, so it's not too hot for you, and then during the day, say at 7 o'clock, it will warm the vehicle up for you getting up. So you can set them by just pressing and going into day mode there, and night mode. You can turn your hot water on and off, and then you can, if you ever need to reset the control panel, there's your reset button. So you just press reset, and then it'll ask you if you want to do a reset, and it will turn the control panel off and completely turn it back on. So that means you'd have to set your temperature, your energy source and your hot water all again. But that is your Aldi control panel. The switch located in the kitchen is your table control. So as long as you've got power on, 12 volt, you'll be able to press up and down and adjust the table in the lounge. You do also have a fuse for it here, so if the fuse does blow, it's a 10 amp fuse, so carry some spare fuses with you for all electrical equipment, but you just pick the fuse out and replenish the fuse here for the electrically operated table. So above the door you'll find your electric drop down switch for your drop down bed in the lounge. So you want to turn the key on to allow the power. Otherwise, this is a master key, so if you want to remove that, you can. If you've got children playing with the switch. And then you'll be able to press the button. But make sure that the seat belt has been removed from the buckle. Otherwise, it will not work, because this is an override and a safety feature for the motor. Press and hold. It will come down, and it will come down at any stage. You can just let go of the switch, put the ladder on here, or remove the backrest like we have, and you'll be able to bring the bed down to its lowest point. It does have a duvet memory foam mattress, and it does have safety nets if you're keeping it higher up for children, which clip onto these points on both sides. There you are, that's it in its lowest point, so you can get into the bed and out, or if you're using it with the lounge made up underneath, you would stop it at any height. but make sure in the winter time with the drop down beds, you bring them off the ceiling and you make sure all your bedding's off to avoid dampness. So now in the kitchen, so you do have 3 gas burners and 1 electric hot plate. The electric hot plate is a mains 230 volt appliance, so that will only work when you're hooked up. So you can use that to save your gas when on site, but if you are well camping you will have to use the burners. That's the electric hot plate there. Do just make sure it's always off before you hook the vehicle up, because there's nothing that tells you that it's on, and you want to make sure everything's cool before you put the lid down, otherwise you may shatter the glass with the heat. There's your two burners. 3 there, so you've got 3 gas burners, 1 electric hot plate, which is there. Oven light. And there's your oven away at the back. And above, you've got your grill. There's your grill working. You may just want to hold this in a little bit longer so that the burner gets warm before releasing, otherwise it may go out if it's cold. So that's your oven, which is a Fedford oven. All your details for your oven are here. If you ever need any parts, we will require numbers. Drawer for storage. Storage down the side, which is where your sink cover, chopping board, drainer is. Cutlery drawer. Make sure the catches are pushed in before travelling. This will secure them into the frame, stop them opening. And the soft close as well. Storage, and some more storage. Plug for your microwaves in there, but this is the new Dometic microwave, so it doesn't have a plate in, so there's nothing to rattle. It's a heat pad. So there is your new styled microwave, and you just, to set this, just press instant start, and it goes up in 10-second intervals, but always starts on a minute. Or you can program the time in there as well. So this is your Dometic fridge, which can be controlled through the control panel, which I've already shown you, or you can control it here. So you've got your on off, your mode and your temperature all on here, which is a flush panel. The only time you may want to turn it from auto is when it's gone from travelling on 12 volt with the engine running to gas. It does wait on gas 20 minutes before lighting, and that is because in case you've forgot to isolate the gas cylinder and you've knocked the engine off in a petrol station and you're about to fill up with diesel, the last thing you want is it to then light on gas. So it does wait 20 minutes before doing this function. To change it, you just press mode and you can override it by manually selecting gas and taking it off automatic. Beauty with this fridge is, if you're cooking, you can get to this side, or if you want a cold refreshment from the back lounge on this model, you can get from this side as well. Like I say, always make sure it's left open when not using, so that air can circulate in and out of the fridge. And all you need to do is, there's a little tab here, you want to pull it out. So depending on which way, there's one on each side. As the door's double hinged, you just pull this out, and then that would go onto there, and it would stop the door from closing. So on the back of this model, you do have the back lounge. So you've got a lovely back lounge to sit in and enjoy the views out your 3 back windows. Wardrobes either side. So you've got a wardrobe this side. TV points, so 240, 12 volt TV aerial point. If you are buying a telly, buy a 12 volt one, so it doesn't matter if you're wild camping or not. If you're on a site, it will work, whereas if you just buy a mains telly, it'll only work on the site, but it's up to you depending on how you're going to use your vehicle. Storage up here. You've got 6 individual reading lights. They've all got an individual on-off switch. They've all got a USB socket, and they're all able to be dimmed down at the back or brightened up. In this wardrobe though, you do have your Aldi fluid tank, which is your glycol tank. So Aldi recommend every 5 years the liquid is fully flushed out and changed. And it's always best to run the system up before you think about topping it up, because you'll see a min and a max, and it's always over the max when it's running because it's pressurized. Once it drops, it might go between the min and the max, but it will always pressurize up, same as your coolant tank on the vehicle. But if you do need to top it up, the caps there, get their recommended coolant, which is G13 antifreeze, and it's a 5-year protection up to -37 when mixed 50-50 with deionized water, and it needs to be changed every 5 years. But they do recommend their own, which you can buy from us and other caravan and motorhome places, or online, or if you go on the website they recommend a few other brands, but stick to them as they are warranted liquids. Two USB points, 230 volt sockets, switch for your fan to help with the Aldi system as a radiators, but you do have fans on them on the front and the back to blow the heat round. Aldi thermostat, so this picks up the temperature of the vehicle, but underneath here you do have a pull-out table, which is a very good idea in the back lounge. So when you're dining, no need for a table, you can just slide this one out and you've got some space to sit and eat at the back of the vehicle. So also in the back you can access the garage, so if it's raining outside or you need any extra space, you can pop things in the back and just pull them through as and when you need them. So lifting the lounge seat up in the back driver's side, you've got your electrics one side, and this side you've got your boiler. So we'll start off with your boiler. So this is your Aldi boiler system. Heats the vehicle, heats the water, holds 10 litres of water inside the boiler at any one time. In the winter, it's very important that when the vehicle is not in use and when this is turned off, to avoid the water from sitting cold in the boiler, you drain it off because it will freeze. And to avoid it freezing, you need to let the water out. So little yellow toggle there, it's currently sat down like so. You need to flick it to stand up and point it to the ceiling, like so, and it will allow all the water to drain out underneath the van. So 10 litres from the boiler will drain out. You leave this stood up during the time it's not in use, and when you start to use it again, before you fill it up, push it back down, so it can either go that way or it can go this way, it doesn't matter. As long as it's lying down, the valve is closed. Make sure it is closed before you fill it up, because if you don't and you put your pump on, you'll just hear the pump run on and the water that you've put in the fresh water tank will go straight out underneath the floor and you'll have to fill the van up again. But it's very important that you drain it down to avoid it freezing, because if it does freeze and it does damage the boiler, it's down to you to cover the cost to repair the boiler or replace it, not by Swift, because Swift recommend in the warranties it states that you drain the vehicle down over the winter when not in use. So that's your drain down. This side you've got your electrics, so you've got your leisure battery location, so there's one battery there, there's space for another battery, and the main battery fuse, which is a 40 amp fuse. System shutdown button, which is the black button here where my thumb is, so you can turn that off and that will stop all 12 volt from working, and it will completely isolate this leisure battery, or two if you've going to put another one on. 12 volt fuses, so do carry some spare fuses with you just in case a fuse does blow. You can buy multi-packs off Amazon or eBay. keep them in the van, as from sometimes a fuse can blow by its own accord, and it does tell you there which fuse is which, and it tells you about your mains protection for your RCD, which is this side. So if you're thinking that you're not receiving power, the best way to check is, as the vehicle's fitted with a microwave, the microwave will work. If it doesn't, you're not getting power. Or you can come here and you can trip the van. If it trips, you've got power. If it doesn't trip, you're not receiving power. And then you've got your MCBs there to the right hand side. At the back, you've got a green light, which is the charger, which means that the charging system is working because you connect it to 230 volt, it's charging the leisure battery. And the orange light is your heating and hot water fuse spur. So you can turn these both off by pressing them and they'll pop out. But make sure they're on for the charger to charge your leisure battery and the heating and hot water system to work on mains electric. So to make your back lounge into your double bed, you need to lift up. There's a leg there, that comes down. That goes there, the other one comes out, exactly the same. We'll put the cushions on and we'll show you how big the bed becomes. So this is the bed made, so you can just drop your backrests into the back or put them at the front, it doesn't really matter. But that is your double bed. What I do suggest though is turning them upside down, because upside down you get the flat surface to sleep on, whereas the front you've got your ribs of your design of your cushion and your bull nose. So turning them upside down, you get a flatter surface to sleep on. You can then put a mattress topper on or a sheet and your duvet, and that is your back rear bed. So this is just showing that your hot water system's working. So selecting hot on the tap, pumps on, that's warm there. You can see the steam coming off the water. So that water is up to temperature. So this is your washroom. So you've got a separate large shower, but always make sure that the shower screen is tied back before travel to keep it nice and secure. You've got your shower head. When winterizing, unscrew the shower head from this hose and lie this hose in the tray with the mixer tap open. You want to leave as many taps open as you can, just to avoid any airlocks in the pipes and any water sitting in this pipe on the shower. That's why you would lie it down, and any water will be able to drain out. Be careful with what you wash the shower tray out with and the plastic sinks and toilet. Don't use any bleach because it is just a hardened plastic. You just want to use a microfiber cloth and some Dettol spray or some fairy up liquid, washing up liquid. Nothing too harsh because you will stain the finish. You've got a hanging rail as well, so you can hang your wet towels once you've had a shower, and it also doubles up if you put a hanger on there as hanging your wet coats if you've been caught in the rain. Because this is the smallest place of the van, leave the door shut, put the heating on and it'll dry. Skylight, you push your button in and open it up. You can put it in the groove there so you allow a bit of ventilation in when showering or when you finish showering. Always make sure the bar is pushed up, the button's pushed out beneath it. That indicates that it's shut securely, because when travelling these have got to be closed. Fly screen and blackout blind. Shaver plug. Storage for toiletries. And the same underneath. And then to operate the toilet, make sure the pump's on. You've got your bathroom light here. Make sure the pump's on, press the blue button. The blue button is your fresh water flush. So put a bit of flush in first, helps lubricate the seal, and then what you want to do is you want to push this grey lever to the right before using the toilet. That has now opened the cassette. When you use a toilet, everything's going into the cassette, so the blade's not going to get messy. And then when you're finished, give it a flush. So flush it. If you've bought pink liquid, that's fine. It doesn't go into any tank on this van, but what you can do is you can put in an empty spray bottle. So much pink, so much water, spray, flush and close the blade, and it does exactly the same job. It'll just clean the bowl and it's a neutralising spray. Once the cassette is full, you'll get a 3 or 4 green lights underneath the diagram of the cassette to say it's full and it's time to empty it. But make sure the blade's closed to get the cassette out the side of the motorhome. So as the Swift models are fitted with a smart lounge, to assemble a smart lounge you give you 2 travelling seats, which you get this side and you get 1 the other side if you've got a 5 belted motorhome. To assemble this seat, take everything off, use the handle and lift the backrest up. Stored behind you'll find the headrest. So you want to get 1 headrest for each seat. Pop this in and pull it up so it's in its highest position. You'll also want to turn the catch to give you the footwell, so allow this board to clip back. Using the base cushion as the backrest, but you need to ensure that you put the infill cushion in first. So the infill cushion goes at the back and clips in here. You then use the backrest, which you use on the backs of your lounge, as it's got the hard board, to clip onto here, like that. And then this cushion would go under here. And that has given you a full-sized travelling seat, and it's exactly the same on the front as this model is 2 seats this side and 1 seat the opposite side. You've also got, as it's been well thought out, a drinks holder on all the seats in the back. And then to make the front bed up in the lounge, using the table, position it like so, pull the extension bar out so that you can use the extra worktop space, like so. Fold it over, drop it into position using the switch. Once I've got the table into position, you would use the cushions, but I'll show you that in a moment once I've got the table down into the right position. So with the table down, make sure it's pushed over to this side as far as it can, and just underneath this catch here and here, you've got 2 rubber bump stops which the table sits on. This will allow you to put the table down, and there you have another bed. So using the table, the backrests, the base cushions, you slide them forward, tight squeeze with the last cushion, but there is how the bed would assemble in the front of this motorhome.